Yo, what is up, my fellow virgin boy? Anyone like steak sauce can never take a motherfucking loss. I'm in this bitch. Not sauce the fuck up. But today we're to react to the fight business as always. We're to react to fucking today we're to react to UFC 309 John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, bro. Bro, let's be honest, bro. I thought this fight was never gonna happen, bro, but it actually did, bro. So let's get a deeper dive, you know what I'm saying?
What are we doing here?
For the heavyweight championship of the world, John Jones, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, will defend his title against the greatest heavyweight of all time.
5 years ago, this announcement would have made me jump off my seat, but it's 2024. Stipe Miocic is 63, and John Jones is avoiding the best heavyweight in the world.
There he is, we've got him. John!
So let me ask again,
That was funny.
what exactly are we doing here? At UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden, the table has been set and the red carpet is rolled out for the greatest fighter in combat sports history, as per Dana at least.
He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, and he's the GOAT. Numbers don't lie.
Does he have pictures of you?
To conclude his career
What? What do you mean you got pictures of him? Like, pause, my nigga.
in the most glorious fashion, and his final opponent is the consensus greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. Sounds great on paper, doesn't it? In the co-main, another near-retired UFC favorite returns to the octagon with everything to lose against the
Charles Du Bronx!
most dangerous lightweight of all time, was not lost a step. Honestly, this feels like a card that would explode in 2019, but I'm sure I can give it a boost. I think. Welcome to the fighting business. I've made videos calling this matchup a disgrace. I'm sure some of you have flamed UFC's Instagram calling this a disgrace as well.
There's no way on earth.
Why is everybody hating on this fucking card? Like, let's be fucking honest, bro. John Jones don't want to fight fucking Tom because Tom has no good resume. My nigga, that's real shit. We're talking about somebody who been in championship fights all his career. If y'all want to comment and debate about it, comment, my nigga. I'm gonna reply to that shit. I'm gonna say some real gangster shit. Y'all got something else to say? Cool, my nigga. But yeah, but let me get back. Oh shit.
We'll retire John Jones without even fighting him.
Our boy, Tom Aspinall, the real heavyweight champion, has done his best to piss
Niggas is meat riding, yo.
Jones off, but the main event of UFC 309 remains the same. This card might end with 3 retirements, but given the karma, ill will, and the stakes involved, I know a lot of people will be watching, and I'm here to do my duty and tell you exactly what the hell we're doing here.
Thank you to the fighting business. Absolutely amazing.
One of my favorite new channels going right now.
Michael Chandler versus
Let's
Charles.
go! Charles Oliveira, bro. Like, that's my favorite fucking fighter. He's gonna murder this nigga, bro.
In the co-main event, Michael Chandler finally returns after wasting 2 years of his career chasing a dream, and unfortunately for him, he won't be facing Conor McGregor. Ever since Chandler lost to Dustin Poirier at UFC 281 in November 2022, he decided to sit around and wait for McGregor to get his act together, and bless him, he went through the Ultimate Fighter with Conor and even signed a contract for UFC 303. He came this close to actually reaching the UFC stop, and just when it seemed like Chandler was finally gonna get it, Conor pulled out with an injured pinky, and Michael Chandler spent a week in the woods.
Got the rug pulled out from underneath me at the last possible moment.
It was time to finally
Pussy.
he stopped chasing around a deranged millionaire for a red panty night. With 2 years of his career wasted and a lot of ring rust, Michael Chandler will now face one of the most dangerous lightweight ever, Charles Oliveira. Unlike Chandler, who did squats, Charles has been active and he's been facing actual elite fighters at 155. Once champion and only defeated by Islam, Du Bronx showed in his next fight with Dariush that he had not slowed down at all. Charles then faced top prospect Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300, and even in a loss, controversial maybe, the former champion once again proved that he still belonged at the very top of the division. I mean, he was a breath away from fighting for the title again.
E cara, eu pensei que ele tinha pagado, por isso que eu ainda brinquei, tá ligado? Botei a língua pra fora, tá ligado? Eu falei, cara, porra, tipo, sabe, então...
Here's the fun part. Chandler and Oliveira have faced each other before. At UFC 262, the lightweight title was vacant, and these two fought to determine the new king. Charles won by vicious knockout in the second round, but let me remind you, Chandler had Charles hurt and almost out of there early on. Both Chandler and Oliveira are berserkers with questionable defense, so it's a coin flip. But again, with the inactivity and the age of Chandler, who knows whether he still has that power and athleticism to catch Charles like he did in the—
Whoa. Chandler trains with fucking elite fucking soldiers, bro. Like, niggas forgot?
first fights. If DuBronx wins this, the title window is back all the way open. The UFC knows how big of a star he is, and we, as fans, all want to see this dude fight for the belt again. As for Michael Chandler, this is it. If he loses to Charles, it all slips away and concludes maybe the most mismanaged end of a career in forever. Chandler knows this, and you can bet that Iron Mike will fight like hell because, for him, everything is on the line.
Facts.
Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Woo! Y'all remember UFC 285? The day our Michael Jordan of MMA finally made his glorious return home. I made a video, a compilation of him kicking ass before the event, and after what he did to Cyril Gane, choking him out inside 2 minutes, I made another one right after, with the premise being that Jon Jones, despite all that he had done to himself, to others, to this very sport, was still its biggest hero. He was hailed as a saint every step of the way, from the very moment he showed up at the pre-fight press conference and until he disappeared to the back as the new heavyweight champion. And for a short while, the MMA world,
y'all probably thinking why I'm smiling so much, because I'm hyped.
At least most of us, was united in declaring Jon Jones as the greatest mixed martial artist of all time.
Told anyone that would listen that this was going to be easy, that this was a mismatch, and he went out there and proved it.
What just happened? The greatest of all time literally fought a guy who's never fought a grappler, got taken down within the first minute, and panicked and got choked out with a guillotine.
But in typical Jon Jones fashion, he blew it.
I say it respectfully to Stipe. I would take time off from being a firefighter right now. And I mean that with all due respect. I'm going to not only beat Stipe Miocic, I'm going to finish Stipe Miocic before the championship rounds.
For his first and potentially last title defense, Jon Jones handpicked Stipe Miocic, declaring him the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he conveniently left out the fact that Stipe had not fought in years and was past 40. That said, the UFC quickly announced that this heavyweight title fight would headline UFC 295 later the same year, so might as well get it over with and move on. To be honest, the heavyweight division back then didn't have a clear-cut #1 contender. There were a few monsters we wanted to see Jones fight, but no one had truly stood out from the group of prospects, so maybe that's why we were not that bothered with Jones versus Miocic at UFC 295. But on October 25th, the main event fell through, and it wasn't the 50-year-old Stipe who withdrew with an injury. It was Jon Jones.
I got the results.
What is it?
You're out 6 months to a year. You got to go have surgery.
You're lying.
I swear on my life, full tear.
Jones was out for at least a year after an injury that bad, so the UFC promoted the light heavyweight title fight from co-main to the headlining act, and as the new penultimate bout of the card, they brought in Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall. To sell the fight better and get these two to accept, the UFC made the co-main event an interim title fight and put themselves and Jones into a very dark corner. Aspinall, short notice, barely in shape and with a back injury, knocked out the most fearsome heavyweight on the roster in the first round and became interim champion. Typically, when an interim champion is crowned, everything else is put on hold as the title unification bout must take place to decide the undisputed king. Dana White should have announced Jones versus Aspinall in the post-fight press conference, but he didn't. He doubled down on Jones versus Stipe.
We saw Stipe tonight, and obviously we wanted to have Stipe and Jon. Is that still the fight to make, or do you feel like maybe Tom deserves to fight Jon, or deserves to fight Stipe, or maybe that's a better fight?
No.
Tripled down.
Jon Jones is making headlines recently by saying, maybe he's interested in Stipe than Alex Pereira.
I think Jon's just asking, who do you like? What do you think? But he knows he's fighting Stipe.
Bent over backwards, glazed Jon Jones to unholy, almost disturbing levels.
As an educated adult who knows the fight business, you cannot deny that while Jon Jones is active, he is the greatest fighter in the world.
And ruined the entire heavyweight division. With Jones and Stipe just waiting on the sidelines, the interim champion, Tom Aspinall, risked it all at UFC 304 against the dangerous contender in Curtis Blades. After doing to Curtis what he does to everyone else, Aspinall's interim title looked a lot more credible than Jones, and the pressure on the UFC began to mount.
Hello, Jon. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
Sadly, The UFC remains stubborn, and here we are now, just a couple of days before UFC 309. You know how this works. I usually take you guys through the past few fights, but there is exactly one fight to analyze in the past 4 years, and a total of 2 minutes. Jones has fought one time in the past 4 years against Gane, and Stipe last fought in 2021, where he was knocked out by Francis Ngannou. No, really, what am I supposed to say here? Guess I'll skip straight to the technical breakdown, but there's barely anything to add there either. I know Stipe was knocked out in his last fight, but that was against Francis, the heaviest hitter in UFC history. Jon Jones is no Francis Ngannou when it comes to punching power, and as good
He's the greatest of all fucking time, my nigga.
as he is, his boxing has always been his weakest attribute. Meanwhile, Stipe is one of the better boxers at heavyweight, with certified knockout power and the cardio to keep up the pressure for 5 rounds. Stipe is basically a better and more powerful version of Dominic Reyes, and we know the trouble Dom gave to Jones a couple of years ago. I know people question Stipe and his age, inactivity, and obvious regression, but Jones is no different. He struggled against Reyes, sat out for 3 years to build muscle, came back with 10 pounds of fat, and choked out the worst grappler at heavyweight. Don't get me wrong, that's impressive, but that's hardly enough evidence to show that he'll run through Stipe in the same way. If Jones can't implement his grappling and Stipe has retained at least some cardio and ability, Jones will be in for a bad night. The more I think about it, the more pissed off I get that we didn't get this matchup when Stipe was in his prime.
My nigga.
I know I've said Stipe is a bad matchup for Jones, but who knows how he will show up. Maybe he's lost everything in the 3 years hiatus and he shows up and gets KO'd by a jab from the weakest puncher at heavyweight, or by an eye poke. Who knows? And I guess that's the matchup in a nutshell. We really don't know. With 2 minutes of activity between them in 4 years, there's not a whole lot to analyze, but I do know one thing. Almost all of us have been against it as we see it for what it is, a gift matchup for Jones so he can ride off into the sunset with Dana beside him, proudly proclaiming him as the greatest he has ever known.
I wish I could say, oh, this is such a great card, I can't wait. But in reality, UFC 309 is a complete and utter disgrace.
The walls are closing in, and he's so
You got these bum ass niggas who never hopped in the octagon saying it's the corniest card, my nigga. Appreciate that we got legends at our time right now, bro. Like, just appreciate that shit, bro.
desperately needs to try to convince people that Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic is an interesting fight.
Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic is an absolute joke to still be being made after UFC 294. Tom Aspinall should be next in line.
But the guy opposite to him is Stipe Miocic, old whether it is
I don't got nothing to say, my nigga. These niggas don't know what they talking about.
inactive, but that man is called the greatest UFC heavyweight for a reason, and I'll just end it there.
Alright. I'm gonna keep it a beam with y'all niggas, bro. Comment down below your thoughts on this card. Me, I think this is a good ass card. I feel like it's technically the best card. Not the best. We heard a lot of best, but this is the most highly anticipated card. We got Jon Jones, Stipe, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. Like, it's a lot of shit going on. After this fight, Tom can get his shit. Charles, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good ass card. Like, get off the dick. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's one thing I gotta say.